anime for Trashdwellers. We are talking about Backflip, which is spelled with 2 exclamation marks. I do personally prefer the name Bakuten. It's Japanese name, which is just the Japanese word for backflip, but there is its own charm to Backflip. Yes, we have a second anime about gymnastics, a niche I did not know I needed in my life. It starts with this kid who is a normie who likes baseball, but he's shit at it, so he never gets to play. So out of all the sports to quit baseball for, he chose the niche sport that is rhythmic gymnastics, a sport that does not resemble baseball in any way, shape, or form. The way this anime tries to convince you that he got into it for any other reason apart from the obvious hot boys in tights is that he saw a bird flying in the sky, which he thought looked pretty, and then compared it to the gymnasts because they fly and stick their chests out like birds and were wearing blue tights. Good thing they were wearing blue tights instead of literally any other color, because otherwise he mightn't have thought of that bird and therefore would have gained no interest whatsoever. Except that whenever he watched them perform, he gets misty, watery eyes, like he just likes watching them hotties, okay? Just admit it. Also, how male rhythmic gymnastics routines in Japan are to music, because this is an actual complaint people have about the gymnastics in the Olympics, how women's routines are required to be set to music and men's just aren't. Just silently watch me flip for 3 minutes, guys. Sure, it mightn't be as entertaining or in a way not as challenging, but it helps hold my fragile masculinity in place. So one of the very first scenes in this anime, we get to see a full 3-minute long rhythmic gymnastics routine. Wow. The animation is not bad, but it is good, but not to the extent it'd be a selling point of the show, like in something like Free. So, though I did love the decision to show a full gymnastics routine, it felt weird. Good thing they got a low score so that our pro tag could go, but how did they get a low score when they were so good? To lead into an exposition dump about gymnastics. We do learn a couple of things about rhythmic gymnastics. How you actually start with a score of 20 and lose points for every fuck up you do. That's cool. Oh yeah, and how did this kid end up at a gymnastics tournament? Oh, he just found it. He was kind of sulking after baseball finishing and never getting a chance to play and just stumbled on a large high school gymnastics rhythmics tournament. As you do. So he decides to go to this one high school. The only reason being that he wants to join the one specific rhythmic gymnastics club. This anime is part of an anniversary project for the tsunami and earthquake that hit the Tohoku region of Japan in 2011. The only thing about this anime connecting it to the project being that it's set in Tohoku. There is the awkward line, yes, rhythmic gymnastics is popular in Tohoku, and that's it. Whether or not it uses its place in this series as a way to advertise Tohoku via showing gorgeous nature shots of it, I'm not sure. I'll just have to keep watching to find out. We meet the said team, and the captain of the team is voiced by none other than Daisuke Ono, aka that one voice actor that's in everything and is known for either his sexy or manly voice and therefore does not sound like a teenager in the slightest. This, and the fact that there's already been an anime about gymnastics released less than a year ago, this whole anime feels like it doesn't give a shit, and I love that vibe. There's also this gangster motherfucker in the club who reminds me a bit of Okuyasu from Diamond is Unbreakable, despite the fact that he flips and tights for a hobby, so yeah, he's pretty great. Protag is too embarrassed to join the club. I forgot about the social anxiety many teens face, and I just found this so annoying, like, oh, this is why I should never become a parent. Especially after this second kid joins, and he's just casually one of the best gymnasts his age in the country. The photo the newspaper used of him is him in these floral print tights doing a JoJo pose. Like, they really got the most homo photo of him they could have. Even why they asked this kid why the fuck he's come to this school, since they don't even have a full proper team. He's just like, I mean, yeah, you're good, but let me point out all the times you fucked up in your routine that I saw once last year. And yeah, he just never answers that question because his anime literally doesn't give a shit. They eventually hassle Protag into coming to practice because they're desperate enough for members that they'll notice the awkward kid snooping around them. It's discovered that he'll be pretty good at this since he's real flexible, and then he proceeds to do a backflip in the first episode. Are you kidding me? He just dicked around with the others for like 10 minutes and then was like, oh, I've got it, guys. What the fuck is this nonsense? Episode 2, everyone's hyping up Protag over his sick backflip, and Mr. Middle School Champ's like, guys, it wasn't even that good. And they're like, shh, as they hand the kid his club submission form and therefore gain the full amount of members for a gym squad, which will help them gain more points and therefore win. They encourage Protag to join their dorms because it's good for team building. Next night, he's there with his family as his little 10-year-old sister finds the very flash nice dorms online, and his wholesome little family are very excited for him to be moving in. The team jog to the local uni's gym, and when they get there, Daisuke Ono and the gangster are just fucking running right up there and shouting, and honestly, even though they both sound like grown-ass men, it's a very teenage boy thing to do. Team captain explains everyone's strengths. Gangsters is doing handstands. One of the members who I haven't mentioned yet, except that he has dyed blonde and pink hair. His speciality is balance and flexibility, because of course the girliest member's trait is flexibility. And then Daisuke Ono's is posing. Obviously the most important job in any sport. Considering he's a JoJo alumni, this makes sense. They get to the dorms and of course they're not the fancy new dorms. No, they're for the popular / successful clubs like soccer and basketball. No, they're in the old soccer dorms, which were being used as a storage facility when their coach nagged the school to let him use it. And from the little bit you see, man, it looks old and gross. Then when Protag's talking about himself, he says his little sister's in her second year of middle school. Middle school? Did it make her like 13? No way, she was 10. Just the anime not giving a shit again. So their coach is actually supposed to be a grown-ass adult, because honestly, I couldn't tell. Especially since Daisuke Ono's character doesn't even look like a teenager. It's impossible to tell how old everyone's supposed to be. Protag has to do a backflip run in a week, otherwise he can't compete. Surprise, he does it. Yay, I don't care. Everyone helps via getting mattresses out at night and lying them over cardboard, even though that won't help with the condensation out at that time of night. And it's warmer in the anime at the moment. They showed humidifiers before, so they get moist and gross. So the ending animation is them in obvious Tohoku town areas, and like every time they show a seaside shot, I think, too bad it's radioactive, though it's probably a radioactive free area of Tohoku. Episode 3. The coach is so techno-savvy, he created a 3D models in order to show the members their new choreography. Like, I know nothing about these types of computer programs. I don't know if they're simple enough for a layman to use, or if you can even illegally download one in order for it to be affordable. I have no idea how realistic this is. Protag goes to ask their coach about specifics about his wife. Is she actually real? Is she as wise as he makes her out to be? And the other members shush him out of it because they're like, mate, just you don't want to know. They try their new routine and they're kicking one another over, and Protag just full on failing to do anything apart from flipping. So I have now picked up on more ways they show that the show is set in the Tohoku area. And it's that whenever they cook themselves dinner, they cook themselves meals from that area, including okonomiyaki. Okonomiyaki. The food that tastes delicious in Japan and shit when you try to make it yourself. They are holding a training camp with one of their top teams in the prefecture, which they're holding because, yeah, their team is too poor for a road trip. The senpais go out shopping for supplies. Like, I don't know what supplies they need to get for this camp, but they reckon they need some. But they leave Protag behind so he can practice his handstands, because this kid can do full-on backflips, but not handstands. Okay, as someone who used to be able to do handstands, but who never has and never will be able to defeat gravity in the form of a backflip, this sounds like shit to me. When the senpais are out on the town, they don't buy supplies. Yakuza Kid just poses cool in the shopping area like, okay, mate, you're still a tiny little shit. You are not threatening to me. And the Floosy member with dyed hair goes to eat at a beef tongue restaurant because some idol he likes is advertising it. The fact that he has the gall to say, don't ask the coach who his wife is, the answer could be depressing. And yet here he is in full simp mode eating a rancid meat dish because some idol advertised it. What a hypocrite. Then they come across the team they're supposed to be training with, and their leader is also redhead voiced by a middle-aged man who's very intense. He's drinking a Zumba drink. More local cuisine references that could go completely over my head. Then they have an entire fight over the areas they live. Like, shit, this show is too niche for dummy foreigner here. During all of this, we see Child Prodigy, who can never hang out after practice and doesn't live in the dorms because he's busy. Well, here he is having a nice little look around the shops with a girl. Would love that he's ditching extra practice to hang out with his girlfriend, but hey, I'm not sure yet, so we'll just have to wait and see on that. Whilst Protag's practicing handstands, another member from the other team arrives with this swathe of children. I do not know where he got all these children from, but I am almost certain he doesn't know a single one of them, and these kids have had appalling stranger danger training. It's just the kids all chasing him whilst he backflips away from them. Is there any better use for backflips than to get away from children? Just fucking flip to the store to buy cigarettes and never come back. He teaches Protag that when he does handstands, he has to see nothing but white. And hey, they vastly improve. I mean, I would have put it down to needing to improve his core strength, but no. All he needed to do was to find his inner zen. This flippy kid gets out his phone and the screen is covered in cracks like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what the phone screen of a kid who just flips everywhere would look like. The very last minute of the show, they just quickly jam in the other team doing this sick routine, and it's like the writers got to the end of the episode and went, shit, the new team hasn't done any gymnastics yet, and just tagged it in on the end. Episode 4. Now, everyone is depressed about how impressive that brief 1 minute of gymnastics from last episode was. They're cooking dinner with more Tohoku region delicacies, and the other team waltzes in, and they're freaking out because they haven't cleaned their rooms for them, and their captain apologizes that they're here earlier than intended. Like, how? It is evening. What the fuck were they supposed to be doing after training? Just dawdle around in the twilight until it was well after dinner? The redheads are constantly fighting. Probably because they're the same character stereotype and there can only be one. Next morning, main group are still all sleepy, whilst of course the other team who is better than them must be better disciplined than them and hence are already up and cleaning. When Yakuza Kid sees someone else using the kitchen, he's like, hey, get off of a man's turf. Like, mate, he's making you a free breakfast. What the fuck is there to complain about? Look, no one is that house proud that they won't let someone else competent at cooking take over. Fucking a meal with no effort is what everyone wants. If they can cook, people will take the night off cooking for that work-free grub. We see old photos of their coach at uni and he was competitive and hot, man. Now he's just got this lazy kind of seedy look on his face all the time. Come on, bring back that sneer. And then the other team's coach brings up that during uni he used to say, I've got no time for talentless losers. And the coach responds, yeah, and I somehow became a teacher, where all I do is spend my time on talentless losers. The other team is complaining that they have to train with these talentless hacks and how they're getting nothing from their joint training, even though they have day-long access to a gym and training from coaches they wouldn't otherwise have access to. Plus, the best way to learn something is to teach it. A couple of the members from each of the teams bond. The one who likes an idol finds another idol fan, but not from the same group. And honestly, that's just straight up unrealistic. Unless they have some interest in the other group you stand, mate, that is not enough for us to get along. Plus, let's be real here. If you like K-pop but are not an ARMY, chances are you kind of hate them. Whether it's for the entitled way they act online, the way they just erase Asian pop's achievements and whitewash it over with BTS the whiteys represent, or that now if you mention you like Asian pop music to a local, they will immediately assume you like BTS. This happens to my sister and she isn't even into K-pop. Whatever. Your reflex is to stay the fuck away. Two of them like flower displays and moss and shit, but like they don't even get out their Instagrams to show off their achievement. Like, what is the point of having a time-consuming but pretty hobby if you don't use it to show off just how great you are online? And then one of the other team members likes old Yakuza movies like the Yakuza Kid to the extent that he can quote them. Look, this sounds like a very niche interest in the teen market. I will be shocked to find one Japanese youth this into them, let alone two. Their student manager, I haven't mentioned her yet, but yeah, she's a character in this show, has I do not know what in her hand, but it is over half the size of her face, yet she still manages to eat it in one gulp and chew it all normally. Like, it did not come across as a gag, but is very poor and lazy animation. Episode 5. The training camp is officially over, so we can end the time with the better, more talented and greater team and continue on through with the character's journey on perfecting their gymnastics performance. Ha! That's only something a competent anime would do. Nope. Today they all decide to play hide and seek in the school building at night. Why they have access to the building and don't set off any burglar alarms is news to me. So it kinda has a purpose of explaining backstories, but that's it. Otherwise, it bogs what was otherwise a reasonably well-paced anime down. So the two meathead captains' backstory is they were at a comp and all the teams brought hometown delicacy food for morning tea. Daisuke Ono says, "Apples? They taste the same everywhere. Who brought apples?" And the other team's captain overheard, so he made fun of the food Daisuke Ono brought and they fought as a result. I am shocked that this was enough to set someone off because realistically the conversation would have gone, "Yuck! You brought something healthy! Should have brought Doritos, loser!" More of the coach's backstory, how the old him would have never approved of this hide and seek thing because friendship is for wieners, and that he left the sport due to a leg injury with the presumption that if he never did, he'd be a world champ, but still a jerk. I know which one I'd prefer him to be. The other coach is also skeptical about his wife, but then little trainer girl's like, "No, she's real." And the other guy's just like, "What, really?" Coach's excuse for no one having ever met his wife is she's shy. I am going to guess now, wrongly, but fuck it, I'll give it a shot. They met his wife in hospital when he had the leg injury, but she was terminally ill, so they did get wed, but she passed away not long after. I'm calling it. Let's see how much of an idiot I look like later on. The other relevant-ish backstory stuff is little Flippy one from the Better Club is rivals with the national champ kid, and he reckons he just isn't trying hard enough. Ooh, must be because of that woman he hung around. Remember, guys, all champions are virgins. Speaking of virgins, now we move on to the ships who originally got along, now finding it hard to look over differences because it's funny. Except for one member of the better school, he didn't have anyone to pair up with, so he just derps around, rearranges flowers, gets caught. End of his appearance in the episode. The gangster kids clash heads because they prefer different types of gangster movies. The Protect Group's gangster prefers one starring virgins, whilst the one voiced by Midoriya prefers one starring Chad. So yeah, we prefer the virgin out of the two. Then the vice captains start off bonding about how shit their captains are, but then start fighting when they begin admitting how great they actually are. And last, we come to the idol fans. where it is finally realistic, and then instead of being like, hey, you like so-and-so, that's cool, they send one another death threats for suggesting there is a single human being alive more precious than their waifu. Let me be very clear here. Talent is never brought up or even considered in this argument, and I fucking hate them both for that. Do male idol stands even consider talent? Or is it only female stans who will write 5-page essays with references about just how goddamn talented their boy is? These girls don't even bring up music, which is supposed to be the whole point of getting into a musician. So the argument is that protag group's idol is too fake. I don't give a shit. If they're nice, they're nice. Leave them be. Whilst better groups is too open and pushing too much just how hard they've all worked. Look, better group tries to argue that it's more authentic, but honey, she isn't going to tell you that her manager told her to lose weight, or that she didn't eat for 3 days to lose weight, or about any creepy dodgy staffers, or when the other members are bullying her. Like, she isn't telling you shit, mate. She's just telling you enough to make you care, but not scare you, and also not to get herself kicked out of the group. Better Group describes their idols as, yours is to get lost in a fantasy, mine is to go through the hardships of life with me, and I hate it because it's basically me with team and intent, and it is right and is real, and I have been seen, and now I have to face just what a pathetic embarrassment I am. After he says that, Protect Group's one's like, nah, you just like her because she's cute, and he really doesn't like that. Yeah, that's pretty fucking accurate. Episode 6. Woo! The boys have new tights designed by their manager, aka the schoolgirl manager, so that she actually contributes something to this team. They are much more excited about their girly looking tights than actual schoolboys would be. I do not know how expensive it would be to get your personal design knocked up on 6 pairs of tights as opposed to the pretty standard school logo and colours, but I would wager it's pretty expensive. And considering the school only gives them enough budget to board in the wood rot field accommodation, I doubt they have that much money flying around for custom made tights. They even have feathers on them to fit the bird theme this show's been running with. But they center near the armpit, so it kind of looks like super long armpit hair. Ew. They just start undressing in front of her, and the vice captain's like, guys, please! And she's like, no, it's fine. Please continue. Just establishing that she is your average pervert self-insert manager in a sports anime. Ooh, guys, it's the prefecture comp! Protag keeps falling over when handstanding during practice. Will he be okay in the comp? It's dinner before the big comp, and you know what that means. It's local cuisine time! At least one of these members' parents owns a restaurant, but honestly, it could be more because that's how hard they're pushing this food agenda. The morning of the comp, Prodigy member's there with his girlfriend, sister, mum. This is an anime. They don't differentiate those characters enough for us to know. Well, they wish him good luck as he leaves for the comp, so he lives with whoever the mystery woman is, whose goodness knows how old. When at said comp, Protag's normies' family's there, and after a group performance, they're like, they got 14! Is that a good score? Shot to said team crying because no, that is not a good score. They perform. Protag gets that handstand because duh, he did. And it was perfect! Except for Idolfan, who wobbled a landing. But they still came second and qualified to the finals, so who cares? And that weird little Prodigy member from the better team, he's there watching Protag because Protag isn't just the new member, he is the chosen one of rhythmic gymnastics. And afterwards, for a split second, you see Mum crying. Oh God, how accurate. She was overcome with emotion to actually see her son participate in a sport. After all those years of creepily watching him on the bench, she just wasn't ready to actually see him play one. Episode 7. Prodigy Kid has a talk with his mother / girlfriend / sister / aunt / guardian / I don't fucking know. And now he stays in the dorms and goes home for the weekend. And he says he just has to move in because they really needed to improve before comp. I don't know. Pressuring someone to practice a sport outside of allocated training doesn't sit right with me. Like anime, this is a bad thing, not a good thing. It's midterms, so Project Kid has moved right in when they stopped training for 2 weeks to focus on midterms. Good timing. Daisuke Ono doesn't understand why he needs to study English because he won't need it when he inherits his parents' restaurant like the nepotistic bitch he is. Not all of us have rich parents who can hand us their business to run, mate. Some of us have to find jobs of our own. Idolfan admits that he knows a couple of English phrases because they're in the idol group he likes songs. Oh. So he only knows useless phrases that will never be applicable in real life, such as Facebook touch. Whatever the fuck a Facebook touch is. I still don't know, and this song came out over 10 years ago, Shiny. I need answers. There has been a running gag where Idolfan gives Prodigy a nickname and Prodigy says he doesn't like it. And this has already happened like 20 times or something. It is not funny. It will never be funny. For the love of God, anime, please stop. There has been a very slow rise in TV shows with cute boys doing cute things that has an Idolfan cast member. Look, girls don't want an Idolfan boyfriend because either they'd be gay or they'd be fawning over a woman much hotter than you. No, what a girlfriend wants is a boy who realizes just how much this group means to her and hence start learning about the members' names and shit and talking to her about them and listening when she talks about them. That's what a woman wants. A man who understands and is interested in her hobbies. When Manager helps out Gangster, it's just her watching his Yakuza films and then whacking him over the head when he doesn't know his kanji. The reason they study so hard is because their coach stipulated that if they want to use the uni's gym mat, they gotta pass their exams. And now, backstory time! Now we get to find out all about the coach. A lot of it we already knew, that he was a cunt and that he injured himself and was unable to compete again. What we didn't know is that he went all the way to Germany to have his injury looked at. Don't know why he couldn't have had it looked at in Japan. And this is where he met his wife. Pretty sure I semi-called it, so I'm pretty fucking good. / this is a subpar and easy to guess script. There is a Japanese staff member at a German hospital because... So they get married. This is where Manager comes in. She's like the niece of the wife or something. And when she sees photos of him competing, she thinks he's fucking sick. And then she meets him and is disappointed at the meek man in front of her. Coach figures that now instead of being a world gymnast, he'll be a coach. Which doesn't happen straight away. First he just gets in as an English high school teacher. Then he teaches primary school kids he just found in the park how to do sick flips and drives them to gym tournaments. What fucking parent lets their child hang out with a rando? Well, I don't know. Maybe they saw him do some cool flips and figured that he was allowed to hang out with their child because he is cool. The kids decide they want to go to his high school and form a gymnasts team for him to coach. He's trying to convince the head teacher to form the club, but he keeps saying no. So then he flips for him. The teacher's like, radical, and gives him the okay. Man, I wish I could do sick flips in order to get others to do my bidding. When he's organizing the Unimat, his old coach friend asks him why he's going so hard for this coaching gig, and he answers, because I am a sad dance mum and I live vicariously through my children. At the end of the flashback, everyone realizes that, hey, it wasn't Coach who set up the study stipulation, but the shit out of a captain instead. Episode 8. At practice, Child Prodigy gives Idolfan a dirty look because of how he fucked up at the comp, and he handles it so well that he fakes a sprained ankle so that he doesn't have to deal with his criticism anymore. He did almost get hit by a moped, and afterwards, when he was checked up at the hospital, he saw his opportunity and went, yeah, my ankle totally hurts. When he turns up to practice, coach says, that's okay. You can rest until every part of you is better. Every part, meaning not your ankle, not your unhurt ankle, but your mind. But look, just chill until you stop being bummed out. It's only until like the second day that Idol fan thinks, geez, maybe the coach is on to me. Everyone fusses over him at the dorm and he has to remind them that it's only his ankle that's a bit sore. He's not an invalid. Just for Gangster to shout in his face, he is a little injured baby and therefore unable to do anything without potentially killing himself. Child Prodigy and Protag find out via just catching Idol fan dancing. See, the way he fangirls over his idol is kind of less like creepy male fans and more like gay men obsessed with pop divas. But yeah, I don't know if that fan culture exists in J-pop. I know in K-pop, gay men usually are more into boy groups and lesbians will often like both or one or the other. But yeah, I do not know if gay male stands who obsess over female J-pop divas is a thing. He's feeling bummed because in rhythmic gymnastics he's like, I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was. Dun, dun, dun. But like he can't now. This Child Prodigy chump shown him up. But then he thinks that he likes his favorite idol because she isn't the best, but she's always a solid second or third best. But that she keeps a positive attitude and still works hard towards improvement no matter what. Just for him to realize that I am the Marcha and I have not metaphorically vomited in my mouth faster than after that. Plus, Soz can't relate since him and Tenna like stand out amazing performers in their groups. I don't know what it's like to stand a loser like you do. He has gotten over that speed hump and is back to practicing, with the other members of the team having no idea that he was faking because they're dense high school boys who still have a lot to learn about others and their feelings and shit. Since there were no cooking or food scenes this episode, they had to shoehorn in, I hope this coach's new choreo encompasses a move like this food. And it ends with Coach showing the new choreo and everyone being all excited for it except for Child Prodigy who looks concerned. The new choreo is people being thrown in the air. So look, I can understand him not trusting his teammates' ability to catch him. Episode 9. Lol, I was on the money. He doesn't trust his dirty teammates. Ha! There's a flashback to an incident where he was thrown into the air too early by his launchpad team, and as a result, he ran into the other kid flipping and caused them an injury. After Gangster gets all up in his face, you don't trust us, huh? He just fucks off for a couple of days. Eventually, Coach goes to visit his house, and Daisuke Ono offers to come along too, since like he's the team captain and makes sense. But no, he can't take him because he needs to take Protag with him because of plot and shit. So we get to his house and finally learn that his girlfriend slash sister slash mom is actually his aunt. No! I did guess aunt just once, but I didn't actually think it'd be his aunt. Oh my god, no! I forgot about anime aunts being a thing. How could I forget about anime aunts being a thing? Because they're using an excuse to be extra hot because hey, it's not his mom. That's his aunt, therefore it's not weird if she's hot. Plus, his mom's her older sister, meaning she's younger. How much younger? Look, it's not explained. When we first see him come home to this woman, her house is a pigsty with dirty dishes and leftover noodle cups lying around everywhere. So then she explains that he basically does all the housework for her because she's useless. And the look of guilt crawling onto Protag's face, realizing they guilt tripped their member into leaving their aunt alone and helpless so that he can hang out with his flip bros. His parents are not in the picture. It's not explained, and it doesn't really need to be explained, but like, I'm a filthy gossip. I need to know about his drop beat parents, god damn it! Anyway, so as a result of not having parents, he's always depended on himself, so his trust issues and standoffish behavior isn't due to him being a shitty teen, but due to childhood trauma. It's also revealed, thanks backstory dump aunt, why he picked this school with its shitty no-name team, and it's because he's a fan of the coaches. When aunt picks out a scrapbook with a photo of him being grumpy and sexy, he is so embarrassed. Like, mate, you didn't even have cringy hair or anything, like, calm down. But it's probably worsened when Protag reacts, whoa, that guy looks so mean! mean and grumpy. Oh, he must be a complete and absolute fucking arsehole. Aunt explains that as a child, when Child Prodigy was going through a rough time, he found his videos and they comforted him. Look, is it impossible for this kid to come across rhythmic gymnastics videos on YouTube? No. But is it likely? Considering he's but a child, he would have been looking up shit like Minecraft videos. Like, realistically, if he got to rhythmic gymnastics videos, it would have been through parkour videos. And seriously, what child would find a guy in a leotard jumping around a gymnasium cooler than like a guy flipping off a staircase onto a skateboard or some shit? He and Protag talk some shit out. I don't trust anyone due to my depressing but vague backstory. And Protag just like, nah, don't worry, we'll look after you. Then in the dorm, yes, he just comes back to the dorm to leave his aunt to live in her own filth. And Protag and Coach don't feel bad about it in the slightest. And Gangster forces an apology out of him so that he can realize he didn't destroy the rhythmic gymnastics team and therefore sleep at night. Then the other members reckon in order to build trust, they need to join their song and dance routine. Yes. Which the two bond over their reluctance to join said song and dance routine. This was the only mention of food this episode. Like, the only mention. And it was an ingredient. Man, it's so fucking weird when they aren't forcing tourism advertising down your throat. Child Prodigy tells Protag that he isn't going to uni because he wants to work straight out of school to help his aunt. Okay, she said she was useless at housework, not like every aspect of her everyday life. She probably does well at her job. Like, chill. Coach explains that he took Protag over to Child Prodigy's house because all the other members will graduate this year, so he's forcing those two to be friends so that he has a job as a coach next year. It's a nice uplifting feel for the end of the ep, which I assume means we will be starting the finals next episode. Episode 10. Everyone's all focused and pumped from practice. And Manager Chan says, whew, looks like there won't be more dramas occurring. And so they get the day off before the tournament. And they spend the entire day resisting the urge to practice. And that is it. That is the entire episode. My life has been wasted. The night before, everyone's all pumped and organised for what they're going to do on their day off. Idol fans excited that he does get to see his idol group's mini concert. The days roll around and everyone's too antsy to do what they said they were going to do. I'm sorry. You stand an idol group and there was a chance for you to attend their concert and you didn't? What kind of fan are you? Do you know how lucky you are that you're actually able to see your fave group live? I'd have to travel overseas for that to happen or pray for a fucking miracle that they'll actually bother coming to Australia. Be grateful and take every opportunity you have, fake fan. Protag suggests that for a fun activity, they read the dictionary, but like it's a Japanese dictionary. So it's all like the word meaning, but also all the kanji and their meaning. And yeah, I was gonna make fun of them for being a nerd, but kanji meaning and pronunciation in words is actually kind of interesting. But they end up reading the definition for flips and shit. They get antsy. Then some fucking nerd suggests cleaning, making me feel like a fat lazy sheep because I never go, I'm bored, how about I be productive? So they clean up, Protag opens a cupboard that's overstacked. He falls and then lands on his hand funny. We just did all the drama. Does there need to be more drama? It's like, fuck, we just need one day where you boys do not damage a single fucking area on your body at all. Like, Christ, their coach should have just sent them all off in bubble wrap. Their antsiness is gone once they've opened the boxes because they're filled with their old leotards, and that's gym related, so it calms their gym nerves. Gangster's like, well, it's time for me to quickly fit in my deep and meaningful gym backstory. Don't get it. Everyone in this club has some fucking mystical reason behind doing rhythmic gymnastics. Like, every time they flip, their third eye opens or some shit. Where's that one shitty kid who just joined because, oh yeah, backflips are sick? There is a dream sequence. I want to mention the dream sequence because it actually feels like a dream. Most dream sequences are very artsy and over the top, and though they're great for watching, they're not like an actual dream. But this one is in that it's his dance routine, but just slightly distorted and hard to make out. They're not all there like spewing rainbows whilst their eyes take up most of their head or some shit. He wakes up with a very sore hand. I just wanted to see them flip this episode. You know, I was ready to get into the tournament, but nah. Instead, there was an episode with nothing in it except for set up for even more drama than what has already occurred. Something cool I found out. I think when talking about one of the first episodes of this show, I mentioned that this show was inspired by how popular rhythmic gymnastics was in the prefecture it set in. Well, Otaka USA put out an article saying that the real-life Aomori Yamada High School rhythmic gymnastics team has helped supervise the anime to make sure it's depicting gymnastics accurately. And they even put up a YouTube video of them doing the choreo, which is fucking sick. Episode 11. Protag wants to hide his injury from the team and Child Prodigy's like, oh no you won't! So he and the rest of the teammates bully him into going to the doctors. Whilst waiting to see if their bro's okay, their rival team come and nag them and they're like, we are too serious and mature for this shit at the moment. So then they nag them again to get them to de-stress and it works. Somehow, in this massive and fairly empty arena, it's a high schooler's sports comp. No one but parents go to these things. Protag's family ends up sitting next to Child Prodigy's not mum/sister/girlfriend, but aunt. Protag comes back and the doc says that he has to rest for 2 weeks, but nah, he still wants to compete today. I just love how everyone and their dog is completely disregarding the coach's serious backstory about how that's the thing not to do. So coach talks to him about it, that he may never get to compete in rhythmic gymnastics again, and Protag says no, because this is a sports anime, and the only thing more important than the sport itself is the team camaraderie, god damn it! So coach gives the okay as long as he doesn't put stress on it during warm-up and goes straight to the hospital afterwards, and Protag agrees to this whilst he's gripping his bag strap. Fucking, this coach is just so extra dodgy. Like, he will be the main point of discussion during the next parents committee meeting. So we get to see both teams perform, and Protag's team does not fail once. It is a perfect routine, and Protag's very sore hand magically doesn't, cause him to land on his face or some shit. No Chekhov's hand here. There's this one sick move they keep doing where they land a flip, but in a push-up. Like, what's more fucking manly than landing your flip in a push-up? Afterwards, we just get a close-up shot of each of the members panting away whilst they're all sweaty. Oh no. Anime has realized ending fairies are a thing and they're like, well, that's such a fantastic idea, we need to do it too! Oh my god. Imagine if someone tried to film all the ending fairies for AKB48 and go for longer than their actual performance. And that's where the anime ends, meaning I have to wait until next week to see if they win, and it will be much less exciting because I am not going to remember that the rival team is on 18 points, so that when they announce whatever score Protag teams get, I'm not going to realize whether they won or not. Episode 12, final up guys, and I was bang on the money. They got a score of 17.8, and I remember what I said the previous week and thought, shit, fuck, I have no idea how they went. So it wasn't until they got their score up on the board beneath their rival teams and our family characters shout, wow, they got second, which yeah, totally ruined the moment. And what bullshit, coming second by such a short margin, fuck this show. We did see a brief recap of others reacting to their performance, and the most amazing athlete in the world or whatever from the opposite team is crying. Why? Because there's more than one other person who's as good at sport as you are? Mate, you're not Akira. You're just a kid from a small town with a limited talent pool. Once you start competing on a national or international level, that's when you'll realize how shit you actually are. After they perform, Protag falls to the ground in pain, and his sister sees and is all confused, and then I remembered that he competed whilst injured without his parents' permission. Shit. Then we see their coach apologizing to his parent, like, oh nah, that fucking parent association would be livid to see this. But his dad's like, nah, I'm just very glad my son isn't a benchwarmer loser anymore. So that very sticky situation sorted itself out via this kid and his family having absolutely nothing else going on in their lives worth living for. After their performance, like, the first thing Protag said was, we only came second, whilst he's withering away on the floor in pain. Like, priorities, kid. Coach tries to rationalize allowing that kid to perform with the opposing team's coach by saying, I couldn't stop him. Of course you could have stopped him. You just had to say no. And then there'd be nothing that kid could do about it. Protag's wrist is saved. He just needs it in a brace for like a month. Oh yeah, and it isn't even his parents that take him to the hospital. He just catches a cab down to emergency with child prodigy. Fucking no way an Aussie teen would have the initiative and guts to do that. Mum would be there dragging them to hospital, being forced to talk to all the staff because their child's too scared to. The team play a little trick on Protag. When he comes back from the hospital, they act all somber, like they got kicked out of the top two. But then he starts crying like fucking Jesus, don't set off the kid drowning in guilt. Even when he finds out they came second, he keeps crying out of sheer relief that he didn't ruin the competition for everyone else on the team. But then everyone else admits that even though they weren't injured, they all made like tiny little perfectionist muck-ups here and there to allow the injured kid to sleep at night. Coach admits he loved their performance because he got to live vicariously through them like the dance mum he is. Then he tries to justify about how allowing this kid to perform injured was a good thing with shit like, oh, the future is important, but so's the present. And yeah, it doesn't really work. He's still the irresponsible adult who allowed a child to perform whilst injured. That was Anime for Trashdwellers by Insufferable Weeb on Instagram, Tumblr, and Twitter. Bye!